Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Road to A2D, where we discuss pressing issues around the elections in Cameroon. October 12, 2025 came and went. October 27th, 2025 came. The Constitutional Council declared Paul Biya winner. But before then, we had seen trends that Issa Tchiroma Bakary was leading. So there is total confusion and, in some quarters, absolute rejection of the results by the Constitutional Council. Even though the Constitutional Council is the official organ to declare the results, there is a need to have results that are accepted by all parties in an election. Elections where the loser cannot congratulate the winner, or the winner cannot call on the losers to tell them, you tried, you did your best, but I beat you, are definitely not elections in the world of today. However, things have moved forward, and we observed demonstrations last week where Issa Tchiroma Bakary, believing that he won, has called on Cameroonians to go out into the streets and ask the Constitutional Council to declare the results as they are. The Constitutional Council did not pay heed, and Issa Tchiroma Bakary, though he was taken out into a safe location, has called on Cameroonians to observe ghost towns on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week. We are going to discuss that today in this studio, and with very knowledgeable guests who understand what is happening, and they will give us insights onto other issues that we might have not covered. We also had the Archbishop of Douala, Monsignor Cleda, issue a pastoral letter yesterday in which he sounded the alarm, reminding Cameroonians and the authorities that winning elections must not be enforced with the canon, because elections are a people activity and the people know when the results favor them. So these and other issues, we are going to discuss them today. And with me in the studio is Sandrine Yamga. Sandrine, you are welcome to the Road to A2D.
Bonsoir Bernard, bonsoir à tous.
Yeah, nice to have you. And we have two guests today who are definitely going to be walking us through these very important issues, because the next few days appear uncertain in Cameroon. What do you think? What is the temperature you're seeing out there?
C'est difficile à dire, et on sait que depuis la proclamation des résultats par le Conseil constitutionnel, c'est une ambiance un peu délicate qui règne au Cameroun, entre des communiqués, des appels au calme, des violences, des casses et autres. On a vraiment du mal à savoir si la route pour étudier a été si bien tracée, si elle est si bien lisse. Mais on le constate, elle est beaucoup trop sinueuse, beaucoup trop de contours, beaucoup trop de défis, beaucoup trop d'obstacles sur cette route. Et comme qui dirait, nous sommes à la croisée des chemins. Qu'est-ce qui va se passer dès demain, après avoir appelé les Camerounais à défendre leur vote dans la rue? Issa Tchiroma Bakary, qui s'est déclaré candidat vainqueur au président élu à l'issue de la dernière élection présidentielle, appelle plutôt à des villes mortes. 3 jours annoncés pour être des villes mortes au Cameroun. Que va-t-il se passer? Mais il faut dire que depuis quelques jours déjà, depuis la fin de la semaine dernière, quelques villes sont déjà mortes. On parle par exemple de la ville de Bafan, où les populations sont à la maison depuis quelques jours. Qu'est-ce qui devrait se passer alors que les autorités administratives dans ces régions continuent d'appeler les populations, cette fois-ci, à sortir et à vaquer à leurs occupations? Et on le disait avec Bernard, l'Église catholique au Cameroun s'est prononcée. Monseigneur Samuel Cleda a fait une sortie il y a juste 24 heures pour appeler le gouvernement à écouter les cris des peuples, estimant que la démocratie ne devrait pas passer par des coups de fusil ou par la violence. Alors, on va donc en discuter ce soir avec tous nos invités. Bernard.
Thank you very much, Sandrine. And one thing we observe is the presence of civil administrators, SDOs, governors, and also mayors going down to the streets and telling business people to open their businesses. Last week, they were telling people, what are you doing on the streets? This week, they're telling people, get onto the streets. What a paradox in our time.
Yeah, c'est vraiment un paradoxe, et c'est à ce point que l'on sent où on pourrait se dire que le gouvernement se sent vraiment, j'allais pas dire attaqué, mais vraiment poussé, parce que je pense pas que les manifestations qui ont eu lieu après la proclamation des résultats, l'ampleur de ces manifestations aurait été attendue de cette façon-là. Alors, je pense que le gouvernement se retrouve dans un système où on a du mal à savoir est-ce qu'on va être écouté par la population ou alors est-ce que c'est M. Issa Tchiroma Bakary qui a dit être vainqueur qui va être écouté par la population. C'est vraiment difficile à se positionner et je pense que le gouvernement se dit, pourrait être joue sa survie à ce point-ci. Est-ce qu'on est vraiment écouté par les populations? Et tu le disais tout à l'heure, si on est vraiment élu, comment est-ce qu'il est possible de ne pas être entendu par ceux qui nous ont élus, par ceux qui nous ont déclarés vainqueurs? Pourquoi est-ce que ces personnes écouteraient un autre discours qui est contraire du nôtre? Je pense que c'est en somme ce que l'Église catholique a semblé dire également à travers Monseigneur Samuel Clédardon. Je pense que les heures qui arrivent ne sont pas les plus calmes qui existent au Cameroun. Elles vont peut-être calmes en apparence, mais dans le cœur et dans la tête des Camerounais, on a vraiment besoin de se positionner, de vivre une vie normale lorsqu'on est dans un pays démocratique.
Thank you very much, Sandrine. I think with this foundation, we can bring in our first guest, who is no other person but Reverend Father Ludovic Lado. He's not a strange face when it comes to critical issues concerning Cameroon. You're welcome to the Road to Etoudi, Reverend Father.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Sandrine, for inviting me.
C'est un plaisir de vous avoir.
Exchange. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We are excited to have you, especially as we're discussing issues of critical importance. First of all, the elections, then the ghost towns. But first of all, let's start talking about the Archbishop's letter, the Archbishop of Douala. When you read his letter, you listened to him read his speech, did you feel Christian Cardinal Tumi talking again, or you felt that that was different?
Well, I think that since the beginning of the post-electoral crisis, the church has been very silent, which is surprising because the church was very talkative. And it's true, some individual bishops in their dioceses, I'm thinking about, the diocese of Bafoussam, the diocese of Douala, those in the north, those who were the most vocal in terms of warning that if these elections do not bring change, Cameroonians will be disappointed. I think many bishops said this. And from this point of view, we can't say that the church was silent. No. Again, all the bishops actually issued a letter saying the situation is not good. But individual bishops after that said it is very bad and Cameroonians need change. So they encouraged Cameroonians to go and vote. Many did, expecting change, of course. And the question today is what happened between elections and the results? If Cameroonians are on the streets, it is because they feel that they have been betrayed and that the results do not reflect their votes. So I feel that the declaration from Bishop Kleda is timely, and I think what he said is pertinent. He condemned, of course, the violence from the protesters, which makes sense. The fact that they burn places, burn private properties, but he also condemned the killing of Cameroonians by the army. And you don't shoot on armed, you don't shoot on armed civilians. You don't do that in any serious country. So, but at the end of the day, he said that we have to again, go back and look at the root causes of this situation, the current situation. And the root cause is, we all know it, it is electoral fraud. And that's what people are complaining about. And I remember that a few days ago, I said, if this country really want to solve this problem, they should maybe allowed for this election to be audited by an independent structure or institution. And so that they can confront the results of ELECAM and the Constitutional Council to the results of Tchiroma, who is claiming that he won. But I don't think they are open to this kind of solution. Who is afraid of auditing? If you are sure that the results you gave are reflect the truth of the poll, the vote, why should you be opposed to auditing? So again, we could ask, what can the church do? I think that the church has spoken, and I'm, of course, concerned that so far the Episcopal Conference itself has not issued any statement, in spite of the number of deaths and the violence going on. So, well, why are they keeping silent?
Yes, Father, that is a question I was going to ask you. When you look at what happened in the DRC, the Episcopal Conference was very active and quite present on the field and actually monitored the elections step by step. What makes the difference between the Episcopal Conference of Cameroon and that of the DRC?
I mean, there's no difference. We are the same church. And again, immediately, I mean, a few days after the elections, you remember that the Catholic Church issued a letter signed by the current president of the Episcopal Conference. That's the Bishop Andrew Kea, the Archbishop of Babenda. And in this letter, it was clearly stated that the church, the Catholic Church, was involved in observing the elections. Let me give you just a few figures. They said that they were involved in observing elections in 12,257 polling stations, over 31,635 polling stations all over the country. This is about, and it is written in their letters, it's about 39% of polling stations. Can you imagine that? That is a significant number of polling stations. So my question is, why can't they publish the results they have?
But
because it's not just enough to make declarations and say, well, we condemn violence. What do you know about the truth of these elections? Because Jesus says the truth will set you free. You will know the truth and it will set you free. They have 12,257 results from polling stations. Why can't they make them public? What are they afraid of? That's my concern about the Episcopal Conference. So it's not just enough to make declarations, to write and say, well, no. What can you do with what the facts you have?
Oui, mais qu'est-ce que vous leur suggérez de faire à la conférence épiscopale, Père Lado? Vous dites que la conférence épiscopale a certainement suivi les résultats, ou bien j'allais dire le déroulé des élections. Qu'est-ce que vous attendez précisément de la conférence épiscopale? À quoi est-ce que vous vous seriez attendu de Monseigneur Cléda hier? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez qu'il devrait dire aux populations dans cette crise-là?
Bon, je crois de toute façon que sa sortie est courageuse. Et donc, je l'apprécie sur la forme comme sur le fond. Et bien évidemment, connaissant la prudence des évêques, il faut lire entre les lignes pour comprendre qu'il est en train de dire les Camerounais ont voté pour le changement. Et s'ils sont dans la rue, c'est parce qu'on a justement violé la volonté populaire pour proclamer vainqueur un autre que celui que les Camerounais attendaient. Et c'est ça qui explique la violence. Je crois qu'il faut, il ne l'a pas dit ainsi, mais il faut lire entre les lignes pour le comprendre. Mais je vais plus loin. Je dis, aujourd'hui, on n'a plus besoin de déclarations. Vous savez, je rappelais que les évêques eux-mêmes, après, je veux dire, après les élections du 12 octobre, le président de la conférence épiscopale a signé une lettre dans laquelle il disait que la conférence épiscopale a dispatché des observateurs dans 12 257 bureaux de vote à travers la République. Et sur 31 635 bureaux de vote, c'est à peu près 39%. Et Tchiroma disait que il peut, avec 18 bureaux de vote, avec 18 départements, prouver qu'il a gagné les élections. Parce que les 18 départements couvrent les 80%. Donc, moi, ce que j'attends des évêques, au-delà des simples déclarations de condamnation de la violence, c'est de publier les résultats des bureaux de vote qu'ils ont observés. Les 39-40% des bureaux de vote qu'ils ont observés. Quelles sont les tendances qui émergent de ces 39% de bureaux de vote qu'ils ont observés? Ça peut aider à la manifestation de la vérité. Puisque si on a ce que les évêques, si on a les résultats des évêques, puisqu'il y a un paragraphe, d'ailleurs, j'ai fait un élément là-dessus que je n'ai pas encore publié, il y a tout un paragraphe de cette lettre qui dit que les observateurs des évêques étaient présents quand on a fait le décompte et que ceux qui étaient présents se retrouvaient dans le décompte, mais qu'ils espéraient que, à la proclamation des résultats, ils ne seront pas dessus. C'est un paragraphe de cette lettre. Donc, pour répondre à votre question, au-delà des déclarations, parce que je suis sûr qu'il y en aura d'autres, est-ce que les évêques peuvent simplement publier les résultats dont ils disposent?
Mais Père Lado, cela semble être la logique au Cameroun. On a vu autour de cette élection présidentielle toutes les sorties qu'il y a eu, que ce soit, on parle à présent de celle des évêques, il y en a eu également ceux des autres partis politiques, il y en a eu des personnes de la société civile qui ont probablement observé le scrutin électoral. Est-ce que vous avez l'impression que tout le monde a cette même tendance à se dire qu'il faut travailler pour la manifestation de la vérité? Hormis M. Tchiroma, on n'a presque pas vu un autre acteur, que ce soit religieux, politique ou civil, présenter ses résultats à lui. Est-ce que ce n'est pas dans cette logique-là que l'Église catholique est en train de fonctionner?
Oui, mais l'Église catholique n'a pas entré dans la logique des hommes politiques. Alors, encore une fois, je ne veux pas sombrer dans la bêtise, mais quand un journaliste de Jeune Afrique avait titré qu'on aurait peut-être l'opposition la plus bête du monde, certains ont cru qu'il l'en faisait un peu trop. Mais comment comprendre qu'on se dise opposant, qu'on prétende avoir la plupart des PV, et qu'au-delà des élections, je dis, après les élections, vous êtes un opposant, vous êtes à la recherche de la vérité des yeux, vous avez les PV, et vous ne les publiez pas. Et c'est pour cela que nous avons probablement la classe politique la plus égoïste qu'on puisse imaginer. Parce que là, ce que je pressens, c'est que tous ces soi-disant opposants qui sont tapis dans l'ombre se disent que dans le mauvais vent va passer, Biya va rester, certains vont probablement être nommés ministres, donc récolter les dividendes de leur collaboration tacite ou implicite avec le régime, puisque refuser d'aider à la manifestation de la vérité, c'est cautionner les mensonges du régime. Je donne juste un exemple. Pouvez-vous vraiment croire que le Nord-Ouest a voté pour Paul Biya à 70-80%? Pouvez-vous le croire? Mais c'est ce qu'on nous demande d'avaler. Et vous avez des hommes politiques assis sur des PV qui les cachent pour ne pas compromettre leur avenir politique avec le RDPC. C'est ça la réalité. Et donc, encore une fois, moi, en tant que prêtre, je m'intéresse à la vérité. Quand je dis aujourd'hui que les Camerounais ont voté pour Tchiroma, ce n'est pas parce que j'ai voté pour Tchiroma. Je connais Tchiroma d'après ce qu'on l'a vu faire dans le régime Biya. Mais si les urnes disent que les Camerounais veulent Tchiroma comme troisième président de la République du Cameroun, qui suis-je pour m'y opposer? Et ça semble donc être le cas. Et donc, tous ceux qui ne collaborent pas pour que la vérité se manifeste sont du côté du mensonge. Et ça, mon souci, et c'est pour ça que j'interpelle la conférence épiscopale nationale. Si vous avez les 12 257 PV, comme vous l'avez déclaré, publiez les résultats. Et si les résultats que vous avez prouvent que c'est Paul Biya qui a gagné, ce qui m'étonnerait, parce qu'encore une fois, je ne vois pas comment un Camerounais aujourd'hui, qui jouit de toutes ses facultés mentales et spirituelles, peut voter un vieillard de 92 ans à la tête d'un pays. Pour moi, ça me paraît absurde. Donc c'est pour dire que là encore, j'interpelle non pas seulement la conférence épiscopale, mais les leaders des autres partis politiques. Pourquoi ne publient-ils pas les PV dont ils disposent? Ça veut dire que c'est suspect. Ils savent très bien qu'il y a.
Father, you are raising important issues about the publication of PVs by the National Episcopal Council and by the political parties who are on the scene. But beyond the National Episcopal Council, we have individual dioceses. Monsignor Cleda was very vocal. Monsignor Lonsi was very vocal. Monsignor Abraham was also very vocal before the elections. Why did they not take time within their own dioceses to organize the monitoring of elections so that Cameroonians would see that they are putting word into action?
Well, that's a good question. And again, that's why I'm tired with all these declarations from bishops. Beside the state, if there's an organization in Cameroon, and not just in Cameroon, in most of our countries, which has the possibility of being in every polling station, it is the Catholic Church. We have parishes all over the country. That's why I'm even surprised that they were only present in 12,000 and more of these polling stations. So they should be able to be present in the 31,635. We have seen that in the DRC. The DRC has consistently monitored election at the national level, and they were able, at the end of elections, to say, we have the results. And even if the state is not able to say, to give the right results, they know the results. And so I'm just surprised. I mean, my guess is that the Episcopal Conference is divided. I'm not revealing any secret. Everybody knows that. And there are people who are in favor of Biya continuing because they have their personal interests. Even if Cameroonian will decide, sing into injustice, they don't care. And there are bishops who are in that situation. And that's why they are silent. They can't issue a common statement as bishops condemning, of course, violence, because nobody wants violence. But when people, Martin Luther King said that riots are the language of the unhurt. When people are shouting, crying, you don't hear, you don't listen. One of the only language you will listen is riots. And that's where we are today. Because the regime thought that Cameroonians were cowards and that they were afraid and that they could not rise. And I don't think they could even imagine that what they saw the last few days. And who are those in the streets, on the streets? The poorest of the poor, young ones, including teenagers. These are the guys on the street, not the privileged. Because in any riots, in any revolution, the privileged guys tend to hold on to their privileges. But those who go down there to protest are the poorest of the poor, because they have nothing to lose. They have already lost their future. And
Okay.
what they are confronted with is violence. They are killing them. And these are no names. The guys in the street are no names. And so that's why I salute the courage of the few civil society organizations who are still, and even few lawyers who are courageous enough to be able to trace where these people were arrested, where are they, what can we do for them, are they well treated? If not, they will just disappear. These guys have no heart. I mean, they don't care. They kill human beings like they're killing animals. They don't care. So again, I'm simply saying, I'm simply saying that yes, the church could do more. And even individual dioceses could do more to observe elections and make sure that we know the truth beside the falsity or the lies coming from the election and the constitutional council.
Ok. Père Lado, j'ai juste une question pour vous. Que pensez-vous, et vous l'avez dit de façon assez claire, pour vous que ce soit la conférence épiscopale ou bien les partis politiques d'opposition ou bien la société civile, ils savent exactement qui c'est qui a remporté les élections. Cela veut dire clairement que vous remettez en question les résultats proclamés par le Conseil constitutionnel, soit. Il y a donc eu des déroulements après cette proclamation. On sait qu'il y a eu des violences de part et d'autre. Des villes mortes sont annoncées dès demain. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez? Est-ce que c'est une bonne stratégie? Qu'est-ce que pour vous, cela pourrait changer dans le cours actuel des choses?
Bien, vous savez, la résistance, et bien évidemment, comme prêtre, moi, je ne peux que, encourager la résistance non violente. Parce que la violence, encore une fois, est contre-productive. Et un chrétien ne peut pas soutenir la violence. Mais les résistances non violentes, c'est pas une partie de plaisir. Parce que de toute façon, dans ce genre de processus, il y a toujours des pécheurs en nos troubles qui se mélangent aux autres pour créer le chaos. Personne ne souhaite le chaos au Cameroun, mais il n'y a pas l'expérience à montrer que les élections à elles seules aujourd'hui au Cameroun ne peuvent pas créer le changement ou provoquer le changement que la majorité des Camerounais souhaitent. Et donc, il n'y a pas d'autre option. Les élections actuelles ont fonctionné comme un élément déclencheur. Et il se trouve, encore une fois, on ne sait pas d'où il sort, mais il se trouve que M. Tchiroma est arrivé, s'est retrouvé au bon endroit, au bon moment, au moment où on avait écarté des figures comme Kanto qui pouvaient constituer des véritables challengers au système en place, eh bien, ils n'ont pas vu venir Tchiroma. Et les Camerounais sont dit, si c'est par là qu'il faut passer pour provoquer le changement, eh bien, il vaut mieux s'y accrocher. Et ils ont voté pour Tchiroma. Encore une fois, qu'on l'aime ou qu'on ne l'aime pas, nous devons, si nous sommes démocrates, nous en tenir au verdict des urnes. Et donc, le verdict des urnes semble dire aujourd'hui que les Camerounais ont massivement voté pour Tchiroma. Et c'est pour cela qu'ils sont dans l'armée. Maintenant, il y a une première phase des manifestations de rue. Et nous savons ce que ça a provoqué. Je crois que ça a traumatisé le régime. Parce qu'il ne s'y attendait pas. Ça a traumatisé le régime. Que ces jeunes obéissent à Tchiroma un peu partout dans la République pour aller dans les rues dire ça suffit. Le régime ne s'y attendait pas. Et ils sont un peu aujourd'hui dos au mur. Et c'est pour cela que vous verrez que ce qu'on n'a jamais vu au Cameroun, les gouverneurs, les préfets, les sous-préfets se promènent dans la rue avec les mégaphones pour essayer de convaincre les populations de ne pas participer aux villes mortes. C'est du jamais vu. C'est une espèce, une race généralement arrogante, sûre d'elle-même, et qui est convaincue de tenir, n'est-ce pas, toutes les ficelles pour continuer, n'est-ce pas, à régenter les pauvres. Mais les pauvres ont dit ça suffit. Et comme je l'ai dit, c'est les pauvres qui étaient dans la rue. Ils en ont tué une quarantaine, une cinquantaine. Le décompte continue. Mais bien évidemment, une résistance comme celle-là s'organise autour d'un leadership. Aujourd'hui, c'est celui de Tchiroma. Qu'on l'aime ou qu'on ne l'aime pas, aujourd'hui, c'est autour de Tchiroma. Et il a appelé aux villes mortes. Ce qui, encore une fois, traumatise le régime en face. C'est pour cela qu'il s'évertue. Quand il le menace, on a vu des maires sortir menacer les populations en disant « Si vous n'ouvrez pas, on va sceller ». Mais quelle est la loi au Cameroun qui m'oblige à ouvrir ma boutique? Je n'ai jamais vu une loi. Je peux faire, si je suis malade et que je ferme ma boutique pendant un mois, qui saura même que je n'étais pas au marché pendant un mois? Non. Et je crois que beaucoup de boutiquiers sont aujourd'hui dans la logique de mieux vaut qu'on scelle ma boutique que de la voir brûler et piller. Et donc, moi, je pense que la résistance non violente, et les villes mortes font partie des modalités de résistance non violente. Les villes mortes, c'est dans le sens de construire. Tout ce qu'on peut faire pour faire plier ce régime diabolique, les Camerounais doivent s'y mettre. Parce que si on rate cette opportunité, la répression sera terrible, sera sauvage. D'ailleurs, elle a déjà commencé. Vous avez constaté que rien qu'après les marches, dans les villes et villages, il y a les milices de Biya qui circulent, enlèvent et déportent des citoyens vers Yaoundé. Le décompte qu'a fait Stand Up for Cameroon estime qu'il y a au moins 71 personnes au CED, y compris les leaders comme Jekam Chamini, comme Anissé Ekane, comme Abba Oyono, comme Parfait Bivoum, ils sont au CED. Mais il n'y a pas que. Il y a 71. Donc, on te prend à Garoua, on t'amène directement au CED. Et ce qui est terrible, c'est qu'ils répètent exactement les mêmes erreurs avec la crise anglophone. Et ce que je crains, c'est que progressivement, ces jeunes traqués vont se radicaliser. Et le risque, c'est qu'on ait un second front séparatiste dans le Grand Nord, appuyé par Boko Haram. Ça, c'est ma crainte. Et malheureusement, ce régime aveuglé, autiste, est incapable de voir ces enjeux parce qu'ils sont prêts à tout pour se maintenir. Et donc, bien évidemment, pour répondre à votre question, je soutiens à 100%, sinon à 200% des villes mortes. Bien sûr, ça va être dur. Ça va être dur pour beaucoup de nos mamans qui se débrouillent dans les marchés. Mais permettez-moi de dire ceci. Quand il y a eu Covid, nous avons fait les confinements nous ont maintenu, nous avons, je veux dire, supporté des mois et des mois de confinement. Personne n'est, enfin, on n'est pas mort. Entre le Covid et le régime actuel, qu'est-ce qui est plus grave? Pour moi, c'est le régime actuel. Et donc, 3 jours de confinement ne va pas nous tuer. Si des mois de Covid ne nous ont pas tués, ce n'est pas 3 jours de confinement qui vont nous tuer. Donc voilà.
Je pense qu'après, on va juste revenir pour se demander, et après les 3 jours, qu'est-ce qui devrait se passer? Bernard first.
Yeah. Padre, as you're talking and developing, I understand you are in support of peaceful resistance, like the Ghost Town, to ensure that things change. And we've spoken about, for the last 30 minutes or so, we've been talking about the role of the church. Now, you are in support of the peaceful resistance and the ghost towns. What advice do you have for the hierarchy of the church? We know they already made the comments. They have written their pastoral letters, but they have not followed up, or they have not spoken about the dates and the rigging of the elections forcefully. But now we are going to new steps. What would you advise your bosses to do?
Well, again, I understand that bishops cannot come outright and say that the elections were rigged, because they will say they are taking sides. I can perfectly understand their position. And that's why, again, you have to read between the lines to understand that Bishop Cleda was basically saying the people are frustrated because the change they were expecting did not occur. And it did not occur because they feel that the election results do not reflect the truth of the vote. So, again, I don't see a bishop coming out and say these elections were rigged and that Tchiroma won. We'll never get that, knowing the culture of the church. But the least they can do, and that's what I've been saying, the least they can do is to publish the results of the 12,257 polling stations they observed. What would, I mean, who can do what? I mean, what are they afraid of? They have these results. Let them do exactly what Tchiroma did by saying, these are the results we have, and we can only extrapolate from the 12,000 we have to say that these are the general tendencies. Why can't they do that? So that's what I would expect them to do if they are really interested in helping to solve this problem and getting the truth of the votes out there.
I know you already mentioned that they're divided for different reasons.
Yes.
But you did not mention the reasons for the division, because it would appear it is the division amongst them that is preventing them from issuing this statement you're asking for. So what is dividing the bishops, as they are, as a college of men that we would think are in the image of God, leadership in the image of God, they are risk bearers, they should protect the flock that they lead, and they should feed us with spiritual food and justice. At this moment, that is what we need as a country. So what is holding them from doing that?
Well, what you have just said is the ideal. That's what we think they should do. My friend, at the end of the day, these are human beings who have their own personal interest before, I mean, these interests.
Okay, he's back.
And
Okay.
of course, the alignments will depend on their own personal interests. These are human beings, and they don't want to lose their friends in power, and the people who kind of support them when they are in need, and they don't want to lose these friends. And that's why because again, just as you are putting the question, I just don't know what a bishop is afraid of, apart from the fact that, of course, they could cut they could, you know.
But he can't be afraid of his own life. You know that.
Yeah. Again, I mean, if you are a bishop or a priest, you claim that you have given your life to Jesus. If Jesus was afraid, he wouldn't have died at 33 years old. That's what I keep telling them. And who killed Jesus? Who condemned Jesus? A politician. Yeah. Pilate was a politician. And why did he condemn Jesus? To keep his friendship with the Jews, who were, of course, who wanted Jesus to die. And in order not to kind of lose the support of the Jews, he said, okay, you better die because, and this is a political decision. It had nothing to do with the truth, because when you read the gospel, it was obvious that even Pilate was convinced that Jesus was innocent. But because the Jewish leaders wanted Jesus to die for their own personal interest, you know, they asked Pilate to condemn him to continue to be to have their favor, you know. And so we are basically in the same kind of configuration. That, of course, you have some of the bishops who are very vocal, but ask yourself, why are most of them silent? Now you know the truth.
Yeah.
They are
Okay,
silent
before we,
because they don't want to get into trouble.
yeah.
It's as simple as that.
So before we get the second guest on air, I have two questions for you, Bishop. First
Sure.
question. So do you think that the government actually is able to listen to the Catholic Church?
Well, I'm not sure, but at least the truth should be told.
But
When you tell the truth,
is it just a waste of time
no,
from Samuel Creda to keep making some statement if they are completely sure that the system won't hear that?
I mean, they have been making these statements for how many years? And who is listening? They speak, and people said, well, we are not listening, and we go and do our own thing. That's what they have been doing. So, again, I think that the church can do a bit more. I have mentioned two areas in which the church can do more. In terms of observing elections, they can do that at the national level if they want, if there's a goodwill for that. And it doesn't cost that much, because again, the church is all over, and they can dispatch observers in any polling station. And the second one is that when you have observed, you should be able to say, this is what we saw. These are the results we got from these polling stations. Because if you have been speaking, warning, and challenging, and people and the guy in power are not listening, why do you keep doing it? Do a bit more of what can challenge them. Say, this is what we saw. Even if you don't accept it, this is what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, some of them will be, they will go after some of them and probably try to, but we have already lost a number of priests and bishops in this country. Where is Bishop Bala? Who killed him? And he's not the only Catholic clergy who died in this country, and we don't know how they died. So again, it is the moral and spiritual duty of the clergy to speak truth to power. That's why we exist.
Okay.
And again, let me finish by saying that, again, I want to go back to the Gospels. When Jesus is facing Pilate, and Jesus tells Pilate that it is in the Gospel of John, I came into this world to bear witness to the truth. And those who follow the truth listen to my voice. What is the response of Pilate? Well, Pilate says, what is truth? And that's where the conversation ends.
Mm-hmm.
So we have as a church, we have the responsibility to bear witness to the truth, whether they listen to the truth or not. It doesn't matter.
Alors, peut-être une autre question en français. Alors, si j'allais dire l'appel de M. Tchiroma est respecté demain par les populations, on aura 3 jours de ville morte. Pour vous, quelle serait la prochaine étape après celle-là? Comme vous l'avez dit, il y en a qui peuvent se dire, OK, tant qu'à faire, on peut observer ces 3 jours à la maison, mais la vie peut reprendre son cours normalement jeudi prochain. Pour vous, quelle serait la prochaine étape? Se dire, OK, tout a été fait, peut-être M. Tchiroma a essayé de faire autant qu'il peut pour se faire entendre et il n'a pas été entendu par le régime de Yaoundé. Est-ce qu'on retourne à la vie normale? M. Biya au pouvoir, les ministres en fonction, et on le sait également que demain, l'Assemblée nationale doit reprendre du service. Est-ce qu'on devrait se dire qu'après ces 3 jours, la vie doit reprendre son cours? Ou pour vous, que devraient être les prochaines étapes?
Eh bien, non, on ne peut pas. On peut pas. Ce serait un échec. C'est-à-dire les morts seraient morts pour rien. C'est-à-dire si on s'en tient au fait que bon, on a fait 3 jours de ville morte et on s'en tient à ça. Encore une fois, je ne suis pas dans le cercle restreint de Tchiroma parce que c'est lui qui incarne le leadership de cette résistance aujourd'hui. Et donc, il faut qu'il l'assume. Je ne suis pas dans son cercle restreint, mais je lui aurais conseillé, et je crois que je l'ai écrit sur ma page Facebook, je lui aurais conseillé de prêter serment devant le peuple. Parce qu'il y aura ici un conflit entre la légalité et la légitimité. Mais la légitimité est plus importante que la légalité, parce que la légalité peut être injuste.
Mais où et comment est-ce que ça peut se faire?
Comme le disait Martin Luther King, sachez que tout ce que Hitler faisait était légal, mais pas juste. Donc, Biya peut bien prêter serment le 6 novembre ou après ou avant. Il aura la légalité, mais il n'aura pas la légitimité.
Et qui devrait faire prêter à Issa Tchiroma Bakary serment? Comment est-ce que ça peut se passer?
Non, c'est symbolique en fait. C'est pour dire que c'est un serment qui est symbolique. C'est-à-dire il peut justement, parce que la souveraineté appartient à qui? C'est au peuple. Et si le peuple est convaincu que c'est lui Tchiroma qu'ils ont choisi, eh bien, il peut symboliquement prêter serment devant le peuple et nommer un gouvernement parallèle à celui de Yaoundé pour marquer la rupture. Et à partir de là, eh bien, le combat va continuer. Parce que je vous dis encore une fois, si ça s'achève si ça s'achève là, comme l'on dit au Cameroun, la répression que vous allez subir sera féroce. C'est-à-dire, on va traquer tous ceux qui ont exprimé un seul soutien. On va les traquer et les réprimer. Donc, on est obligé d'aller jusqu'au bout. Donc, c'est pour ça que je dis que Tchiroma n'a pas de choix. Il doit aller jusqu'au bout de la résistance. On ne sait pas où il est aujourd'hui, mais de son lieu de sa cachette, il peut continuer à mener la résistance. Et donc, enfin, encore une fois, pour répondre à votre question, je crois qu'après les 3 jours, il faut donc qu'il prête serment et qu'il nomme un gouvernement, même si ce gouvernement doit être à l'étranger, on s'en fout. En fait. Si ça doit être un gouvernement en exil, au moins c'est symbolique et représentatif. Comme ça, le régime irlandais saura que, eh bien, la résistance continue. Donc voilà, c'est pour répondre à cette question. Donc ça ne peut pas, les 3 villes mortes ne peuvent pas marquer la fin de la résistance. C'est pas possible.
Okay, Father, I would have a few questions for you, but let's take Michael. Then when we're done with Michael, I'll come back to you. I want to. You sound more of being political here, which to me runs contrary to the spirit of the Code of Canon Law. But let's talk about that after we talk with Michael.
Sure.
Yeah. Hi, Michael Turkey. You are welcome to the Road to Etudi. We're happy to have you here again.
Hi, Bernard. Hello, and hello, Sandrine.
Bonsoir, Michael.
Hi, Reverend. Good to see you guys. Hello.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am just enjoying the Reverend talking. I think I just wish only 5 of them in Cameroon were to talk like that. I think we would have actually got to the end of this. Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Before we move over to Sandrine, what are your readings of the temperature right now? Do you think the next 3 days are going to be ghosted as recommended by Tchiroma?
First of all, I want to express my condolence to the families that have lost loved ones. And also, I want to say to those who are being incarcerated or being tortured, we are all with you, no matter what. I also want to say directly to the government that this is just the beginning. No amount of intimidation, torture, or whichever means you use can distort the truth. About tomorrow, I think it's I would rather say anybody who doesn't take part in this should understand that they are missing. This is like one of those parties where you don't want to miss. I don't think anybody's going to be looking at it negatively, because part of defending your vote means you are ready to go through any possible length. And it's important that anybody who is maintaining this should also equally understand that Mr. Tchiroma or Mr. Bakary called for peaceful demonstration before, and some people, as a result, lost their lives. So if you are happy to be alive, please, tomorrow is one of those days which you wouldn't want to do otherwise. The ghost town of tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, in fact, the 3 days, should be one like no other. And I also want to say this. This ghost town is beyond an individual. It's beyond Mr. Bakary himself. This is to tell the people, in fact, the people of the world, that after 43 years of torture, abuse of every sort, Cameroonians have finally had a voice via a democratic process which they don't want to they will not let go. And to Cameroonians, it's never been so close. It's never been so close, and we shouldn't, by any means, we shouldn't let this slip off our hands. It's not about Mr. Issa Tchiroma Bakary. It's about the people. I want to insist, this is not about Mr. Issa Tchiroma Bakary. He is just a single person who has been identified as the one to lead. And of course, in every single society or civilized community, there is always a leader, not more than one leader, which is why he is the person the people chose to champion this very, very significant and important cause. He is smart enough. He sent people to demonstrate peacefully, and a lot of people lost their lives. He has now said, okay, fine. Don't go to the street, stay at home and be safe. But everybody should please respect this ghost town. We need to ghost all the towns in every way possible to send a very significant signal. Yes.
Okay, Michael, just to ask you something. If at the same time you have some people going out and then just walking, we know, like maybe some people were supporting the CPDM, for example, or the President Paul Biya, because they can still thinking that they voted him, and then they don't want to hear about Mr. Tchiroma. So will it be fair?
Well, I think we expect that to happen, isn't it? We expect the CPDM, for example, to masquerade the way they always do. In fact, as we speak, I'm sure they must have paid even some people to come out in the streets tomorrow. But that is their choice. And under normal circumstances, I am 100% sure that some of them are even ashamed. They will not want to even do that or identify themselves as CPDM people. Believe me. So the truth is, the majority of Cameroonians, we expect, say about, I would say, we don't expect 100%, but we expect at least 80% tomorrow. And out of the 20%, we know that these are going to be CPDM paid people. It's not going to even be people who willingly, there is nobody who loves CPDM, Sandri. Nobody. If there is any single Cameroonian who is in their right minds, CPDM is basically not a political party. It is not about, say, us talking about Biya or, I mean, the whole system. How can you have a political party that doesn't, have you ever heard of them having their usual annual, I would say, conferences or congresses that political parties have to decide the health of the political party? No. This is not a political party. And I'm not sure how many people will identify themselves as though.
Yeah,
so if they do, yes.
Bernard, please just let me ask to Père Lado, au Père Lado très rapidement, justement sur la question des villes mortes annoncées demain, Père Lado, si il y a d'autres marches parallèles, je dirais, qui se font, comment est-ce qu'on pourrait analyser cette situation-là? Est-ce que ça va être l'échec de ne pas vouloir entendre M. Tchiroma, ou est-ce que cela peut être perçu comme aussi une certaine défiance? Parce qu'on le sait, il y a des personnes certainement qui ont voté le président de la République, le Conseil constitutionnel parle de 53%. Elles peuvent vouloir trouver une autre façon de manifester ou peut-être crier victoire. Alors, dans ce qui pourrait être parallèle et à la fois divergent, comment est-ce qu'on pourrait se dire qu'il y a un appel qui a fonctionné contre un autre?
Ben, écoutez, normalement, si on était dans un environnement idéal, donc j'en profite aussi pour saluer M. Michael, et je suis tout à fait d'accord avec sa lecture de la situation. Bien évidemment, si on était dans un environnement démocratique idéal, ben, on laisserait chacun exprimer. En fait, nous ne sommes pas contre ceux qui soutiennent le RDPC, surtout s'ils ont des bonnes raisons de le faire. Donc, le problème, c'est que nous sommes dans un pays où on est complètement, désorienté par la loi de 2 poids 2 mesures. Vous verrez, dans toutes les situations où les soutiens du régime sortent pour manifester, il n'y a pas de problème. On les laisse faire, on leur donne les moyens de le faire, les moyens souvent de l'État, et on les encourage. Mais dès que ceux de l'opposition veulent dire non, nous ne sommes pas d'accord, c'est la répression, c'est les arrestations, c'est les enlèvements, c'est la persécution. Parce que vous verrez que les villes mortes, en fait, les manifestations qui ont eu récemment, et on a des centaines de personnes qui ont été arrêtées. Comme je l'ai dit, la plupart, c'est des jeunes et des adolescents. Ils sont en prison, ou bien ils sont justement dans les commissariats et autres. On dit qu'on les arrête parce qu'ils ont manifesté, qu'il y a eu des casses. Mais revenons à 2018. Quand Camto et ses partisans ont contesté les résultats, on les a arrêtés parce qu'ils ont cassé quoi? Ils avaient brûlé quoi? Vous avez même en prison aujourd'hui des gens qui ont écopé 7 ans sans mettre pied dans la rue. Je parle de Fogué, je parle de Bibounissa, ils ne sont pas les seuls. On est venu les arrêter chez eux, sous prétexte qu'ils avaient l'intention de. Et donc, pour répondre directement à votre question, moi, je n'ai aucun problème à ce que demain, il y ait des Camerounais qui boycottent les ghost towns, les villes mortes, parce qu'ils estiment qu'ils supportent bien. Mais pourquoi est-ce que les maires, les gouverneurs, les préfets menacent ceux qui peuvent fermer leur boutique en disant nous n'ouvrons pas de boutique. C'est ça mon problème avec ce budget. Si je ne veux pas ouvrir ma boutique demain, j'ai le droit de ne pas ouvrir. Pourquoi vous venez me menacer que vous allez sceller ma boutique si je n'ouvre pas? Donc, on n'est pas en situation idéale et c'est pour cela que les pauvres qui sont contre ce régime et qui sont sortis en masse pour dire non, Biya, à 92 ans, après 43 ans, ne peut plus nous gouverner, disent, eh bien, nous n'avons pas d'autre langage que la violence pour nous faire entendre, parce que quand on veut faire pacifiquement, vous reprimez. Et donc, encore une fois, si on était dans un environnement idéal, mais je crains que si quelqu'un sort demain avec le pagne du RDPC, il risque gros. Parce que ce parti, il ne s'en rend pas compte, ce parti est en train de mourir de sa belle mort.
Basile a le droit de marcher, c'est une personne libre, qu'importe ce qu'elle arbore, je pense qu'elle a le droit de marcher.
Oui, oui, mais bien sûr, mais je vous dis la réalité, je vous parle de la réalité. Parce que si on laissait chacun faire ce qu'il a envie de faire, il n'y aurait pas de problème. Tu peux me porter RDPC, tu peux dormir avec RDPC, tu peux mourir avec RDPC, on s'en fout. Mais quand vous pensez que vous avez le droit de le faire, que les autres n'ont pas le droit de le faire, bon, ne soyez pas surpris si vous sortez demain en arborant le RDPC, que ceux qui sont énervés, frustrés, s'acharnent sur vous. Donc, enfin, encore une fois, ce serait normal. Ce serait normal, en principe, dans une situation idéale.
All right. Mr. Michael, before I come back to you, let me just follow up with Father, the question I had for him. Your developments, while they are grounded in real observation of life, what is happening, sentiments that you're feeling across, you kind of use terms that make you appear an activist or a politician, like les milices de Biya, instead of l'armée camerounaise. You said, nous ne sommes pas contre le RDPC. So this ones really make me feel like you are an activist, a politician. Doesn't that run contrary to the spirit of the Code of Canon Law?
No, I mean, the Code of Canon Law simply says that I can't, you know, be a member of a political party. And so far, if you listen to me closely, I said I'm interested in the manifestation of truth because the church is supposed to be at the service of truth. And I've also said that I'm not claiming that Tchiroma won because I am a member of the party of Tchiroma. I don't care. I am a Democrat and the church supports democracy. If the polls, the results of the vote says that it is Tchiroma, so let Tchiroma rule. And I've also said that if I had to vote, I wouldn't have voted for Tchiroma because I know his past in this government. We know what he did. I mean, we know when he was the Minister of Communication. But who am I when the people have said this is the guy we want to rule us for this transition? Who am I? So I'm arguing not for a particular party or not. I mean, I'm arguing for the manifestation of the truth. And I've given some leads which could lead to that manifestation of the truth. I said the church can actually help. I don't want to go back to return to, I mean, I don't want to, I've already elaborated enough on that the church could help. They monitored and they observed 12,257. Make the results known. What did you see in those polling stations? First. The second is that I've been saying, if this government is really interested in truth, allowed for an independent audit of the PV. But why are they not open to this kind of options? Because they don't want the truth. So again, I'm not a politician. And again, I'm not supporting a particular political party. And that's why somebody cannot go after me because of the canon law. They will have no argument against it. I don't have the card of any political party. I'm not again. When I say milice de Biya, when you have an army who is supposed to kind of, channel protesters and make sure that they don't, when they begin shooting at protesters, unarmed civilians, you want me to call that an army? No, that's a militia. Because a professional army doesn't behave that way. We saw demonstration, protesters in France. And these guys were actually also, going into, violence and destruction. Did you hear that there was a single death in France because of protest? No. Why is the army or the police in France different from the army and the police in Cameroon? It is because in the army we have now, there is a cell. They don't want to say it, but there are guys who are trained to kill and just to make allow this government to continue.
Thank you very much, Father. I really very much appreciate that clarification. It was necessary, considering the context in which we are operating. Mr. Michael Teki,
yes,
you elaborated very insightfully about the necessity of the ghost towns and why they should be there. But the question I hear very often from some people, especially those who are not in support of the ghost town, which I would like to hear your view of, is how the ghost towns take Tchiroma to Etudi?
Well, I think if you ask people who look at it superficially, they don't get it. But now imagine a country like Cameroon. People decide to stay at home for I would say 3 days. And then imagine these 3 days, no transport from Bamenda to Biya and vice versa. And the same thing happening to the other cities. Imagine that these 3 days, no businesses going on, trade, right? Even international markets. Now you have cut the blood supply of the main body. Even the Yaoundé itself that claims that so far as Yaoundé is respiring, they don't care whatever is happening in any other city or town. Yaoundé is being fed. Yaoundé is the big river, fed by small rivers. So when you cut all these small rivers, at the end, what happens? The main river would get dry up. So these 3 days are just a tester. Let me put it that way. They are just a tester. Anybody who thinks that this is some kind of random order or random action that has to take place, then the person has to think again. It's just a tester, and this is going to progress from here. From here, it's a stage by stage kind of, I would say, civil disobedience. Because somebody has equally asked me that, oh, you think this is going to do anything? The regime in Yaoundé don't care. Whatever happens, if people don't want to eat, it's not about the people not eating, right? For the past 43 years and counting, what have they been eating? That for 3 days, they cannot, show the solidarity in what actually has been happening with their votes. And like you asked, I think this is going to be huge. It's going to affect a lot of things, including the economy. This is just stage one. If people who, for example, there are a lot of businesses in Cameroon that depend on the people, right? Even foreign businesses. If the consumer is not there, the producer would be useless. No business.
But
right?
Michael, what is the stage 2? Because you are saying that this is just the stage 1, and then it can be a test. But what could be the stage 2 if the stage 1 doesn't work?
No,
because I think that the question from Bernard was excellent. Are we thinking that a ghost town can bring Mr. Tchiroma in Etudi at this point? What could be the option for him to get there?
At the moment, what I understand is we have orders from Mr. Issa Tchiroma Bakary's team that we should respect ghost towns. I am not expecting that same team to say, you go for ghost town for 3 days and kick Biya out, right? That's not what they said. They said, go for ghost town. So it is absolutely crucial that Cameroonians understand that this go for ghost town may not necessarily be the answer, but at least it is going to point the way to the right direction, because this same Mr. Bakary and his team announced a peaceful demonstration, and this demonstration was met with barbarism, I would say. All right.
The point here, Mr. Michael, is those who are engaging in the ghost towns today would definitely need maybe a roadmap or something to know that the sacrifices of today may be continuous, or the sacrifices of today may lead to something in the short and the medium run.
What I can say at the moment is that I am not part of, like I said, Mr. Issa Tchiroma Bakary's team, but I am someone who has experienced ghost town, and I know the impact it will cause to the economy. So we believe strongly that a serious ghost town of at least 80% is going to be very, very impactful, not only to us, but mainly to Yaoundé, including the economy and otherwise. It is going to be very impactful.
All right, thank you. Father Ludovic, you have a few questions in the comments section. One of the questions is, we should ask you if you do not fear for your life, given our context, which does not stop short of killing even priests.
Well, again, what I've learned, because I'm not beginning to resist today, I've been doing that at least for the last 20 years, you know. So what I've learned is that fear is a very bad guide. You know, if you follow your fears, you are going to be freezed, definitely, because that's what they're actually counting on, that Cameroonians, again, actually, the government, Biya's government, at least for the Francophone area, they were convinced that they took Francophones for granted, and that these were guys who were kind of, you know, freezed by fear, and that they could not even rise up. And that's why they're so surprised, I mean, by the magnitude of the uprising of the last few days. So again, if you are guided by fear, there's nothing you can achieve, you know. And those are the basics of a mental strength. And this is does not just only apply to this resistance or struggle, it applies to anything in life. Do you know the number of people who are kind of blocked by the fear of failure? And they can't just attempt anything because they're afraid to fail. And that if they fail, they will be laughed at, they will be mocked at. And so I'm just trying to say that no, fear has never been my guide. I try as much as I can to be prudent, but I definitely refuse to be guided by fear. Of course, there is no zero risk in this kind of endeavor. Anything can happen. I'm not currently in Cameroon, of course, but last year I was in Cameroon, and I was not, I mean, I was still active when I was in Cameroon. And again, that question is often asked. I mean, I'm not afraid that they will kill. Yes, of course. If they kill Jesus, who am I? They can kill me. But I have to live. I just have to live and do what my conscience tells me. If they feel that the only way to solve the problem is to kill me, if they kill me, some other people will rise and continue the struggle. So again, I can't say that there are not times when, I do feel that, well, this could get me into trouble, but I immediately have to make sure that I don't give in to that feeling of being afraid that if I voice my convictions and then I take part in activities which are geared towards bringing change They can kill me. This is possible.
All right, that's fine. We'll make sure you are sent to the Côte d'Ivoire again, 2008. All right. There is another question here. I don't know who is going to take it, whether Father or Michael. The question is: are the 3-day ghost towns a litmus test on Tchiroma's legitimacy for him to see if he can actually pull out the people and if the people believe in his leadership?
I think I'll go first. I'll go first. Yeah, okay. I'll go first. I think, are the ghost towns a litmus test? Now, this is the thing. There is a little bit of, what people should understand is that this is not only about Tchiroma, right? Tchiroma himself has made it very clearly, and I can assure a lot of people that the choice of Tchiroma himself, he is surprised by himself being the chosen one.
Exactly.
Right? So nobody should ever think it is about Tchiroma. However, it would not be a failure to Tchiroma, but to the people. If people choose not to respect the ghost towns, or if this happens to fail, which is a reason why he is, to be honest, actually feeling the heat than us, the people. Because we chose him, and he is looking at the burden that has been hung onto his shoulder, and it's now about, let me not fail the people. It's not about the people failing, it's him saying, let me not fail the people, which is why he is doing what he is doing. And it would be, I would say, it would be only fair that we reciprocate this burden by doing our best to follow the roadmap which he's got. And there is one more thing that is so important. I think Reverend even said it there. This is, I don't want to put it in a very, I would say, very, I don't want to use a language that is very frightful. But on the other hand, all of us, this situation is one of those situations which nobody is safe under this very regime, right? Absolutely nobody. If you can have a constitutional council in a country that is claiming to be democratic, you have the Constitutional Council, which at the same time is the highest body in the land. If you can have them in a broad daylight, take off your vote from you, right? Then they can definitely do anything. In fact, if you can have this council that you would, under normal circumstances, it's just that I'm sure some people may not necessarily understand what it means by a constitutional council. This is the highest organ or body in the land that can sit down at any moment and only just to cough, people tremble. If you can have them ridicule themselves this much, and then you still stay under this same kind of, I would say, umbrella, and then you expect the international community to even respect you as a Cameroonian. Come on.
Yeah. Talking about like international community, let me just maybe go to Father Lado. Père Lado, ces derniers jours au Cameroun, il y a eu beaucoup de discussions et aussi certaines sorties de ce que l'on a appelé des félicitations adressées au président élu par des pays par la communauté internationale. On a eu même cette note qui a fait beaucoup jaser, qui est bien sûr celle du président Vladimir Poutine de Russie. Et alors qu'à côté, on sait très bien qu'on a vu l'Union africaine se prononcer, une partie de l'Union africaine se prononcer, alors que l'Union européenne, quant à elle, a plutôt demandé à voir plus clair dans la situation. En l'état actuel des choses, à quoi, pour vous, on devrait s'attendre? Est-ce que, je voudrais juste faire la parenthèse, vous pourrez parti de là, qu'on a aussi eu le ministre de l'administration territoriale de la décentralisation qui a fait une autre sortie pour condamner les violences qui ont eu lieu, pour accuser nommément M. Tchiroma de les avoir orchestrées. Beaucoup de choses à la fois qui reviennent. Le rôle de la communauté internationale, finalement, on l'attendait. Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec ce type de sortie-là? Pourquoi est-ce que le Cameroun accorderait une si grande importance à la communauté internationale? Et est-ce que vous vous attendiez à cette sortie de l'Union européenne?
Bon, écoutez, la communauté internationale vaut ce qu'elle vaut, hein, c'est-à-dire que la communauté internationale, en fait, d'une manière ou d'une autre, acte ce qui s'est passé, en fait. C'est-à-dire que la même communauté internationale, et vous avez vu que la cérémonie de proclamation des résultats a été boudée par pas mal d'ambassades.
Ça veut dire qu'on devrait s'attendre à pareil scénario lors de la prestation de serment?
C'est une possibilité, mais je crois qu'il préfère être, je dis, cette communauté plus prudente, parce que je vais vous donner un exemple pour parler de... Moi, actuellement, pourquoi je ne suis pas au Cameroun, c'est parce que je suis dans un fellowship à Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
Et vous savez que New York Times et Globe, moi je suis à Cambridge, et puis le Globe ici, c'est dans le... Et donc, ils ont fait quelques articles sur le Cameroun. Et mes collègues, le lendemain, me disent, mais qu'est-ce qui se passe au Cameroun? Et j'ai eu honte de leur expliquer que je viens d'un pays dirigé depuis 43 ans par un monsieur, par un homme de 92 ans qui prétend avoir gagné pour 7 ans encore. J'ai dit, j'ai eu honte, ça je dois l'avouer.
Et qu'est-ce que vous leur avez dit?
Dans leur tête, ce n'est même pas, c'est inimaginable sur la planète Terre. Et comme venait de dire Michael, ça dit que tu as même honte d'être Camerounais.
Non, pas à ce point, pareil.
Comment est-ce possible que sur cette planète Terre, qu'il y ait des pays où des choses comme ça se passent? Parce que donc, c'est pour dire qu'au niveau international, ils savent très bien que c'est fabriqué tout ça. Et je crois que beaucoup de médias français même, qui sont souvent du côté du régime, ont clairement dit que ces élections ne reflètent pas la réalité. Et donc, ce qui fait que quand on est dans une situation comme ça, les chancelleries ne s'empressent pas d'envoyer des lettres de félicitations pour ne pas prendre des risques, parce que ça pourrait basculer demain.
Mais est-ce que vous pensez que le régime en a forcément besoin?
Voilà.
On a peut-être pas, on a l'impression que depuis ce déroulé, l'aide de félicitations ou pas, tout semble bien avancé.
Oui, mais le problème, c'est que oui, mais ils en ont besoin. C'est pour cela qu'ils fabriquent des fausses. C'est pour cela qu'ils fabriquent des fausses lettres, que ce soit de l'Union africaine, que ce soit de Vladimir Poutine.
Avez-vous la certitude qu'elles sont fausses, Père Lado? Cela peut être une déclaration assez grosse ou grave, je dirais. Comment est-ce que vous avez la certitude que ces lettres de félicitations sont fausses et qu'elles ont été complètement fabriquées?
Oui, madame, vous savez que depuis que cette crise, ou bien même les élections, vous savez qu'on a un, si vous voulez, on a un réseau. Et ça, je ne vous apprends rien, vous êtes des médias. Tout régime, aujourd'hui surtout avec le numérique, tout régime essaye autant que possible, surtout quand il manque de légitimité, de fabriquer une milice numérique qui va de toute façon soutenir le faux pour vous donner l'impression que ceux qui prêchent le vrai ont tort. Et au Cameroun, aujourd'hui, on les connaît. Ils ont des faces. Et ce n'est pas nouveau. Et on a un trio bien connu sur la toile qui sont de l'ère géographique ou sociologique de Paul Biya. Et ils ne font que fabriquer des fake news qu'ils dispatchent pour brouiller la vérité. Non, en fait, c'est pour dire que les laboratoires de fausses lettres de cette nature, eh bien, ça ne devrait pas nous surprendre. Ça fait partie de la guerre médiatique. Il faut prêcher le faux pour embrouiller la vérité. Et donc, par conséquent, si ces lettres qui circulent n'ont pas été fabriquées par les laboratoires du système, qui a intérêt à faire circuler ce genre de lettres à cette période? C'est le régime. Et donc, en fait, c'est pour dire qu'effectivement, la communauté internationale est très prudente. Et c'est pour cela que les lettres, vous allez voir que les pays qui ont été les plus prompts à féliciter Paul Biya, c'est les pays de la forêt de l'Afrique centrale. Non, c'est la Centrafrique. C'est le Gabon. Mais c'est la forêt équatoriale, ils sont une nuance en tout et ils ont les mêmes réflexes, exactement les mêmes réflexes. Donc, en fait, les autres pays qui voudraient vraiment voir, qui sont convaincus aujourd'hui, parce que beaucoup de chancelleries sont convaincus que les résultats là sont faux. Mais ils sont prudents parce qu'ils se disent, bon, on va voir comment ça évolue. Right.
So in the light of these countries in the Central African Republic being the only countries that are congratulating Paul Biya plus the African Union, what do you make of that in the eyes of international legitimacy? Because it looks like the question of national legitimacy is no longer of issue to them. They are rather looking for international legitimacy and using repression to compel compliance at home. So, Michael, what do you think is the end goal here? To give an impression that the Central African region has accepted the results and then it's going to expand to the rest of Africa and to the world? Or what do you see here?
Yeah, I think this is the thing. You know, it's a bit more like you know, this is a government that has been operating for 43 years, right? They have been manipulating things in various forms. This year in particular, like the Reverend said, you can see those who are saying congratulations. Now, the government is amplifying these ones in an attempt to say these people are legitimizing our win. So obviously, even if you have any doubt, because the other person and that one have legitimized our win, you shouldn't be afraid. But one thing that they completely ignore is that the international community themselves, they know the system for a long time. And it's a bit more like the people of Cameroon are saying this is the end of the road for the regime. It's the same thing that the international community are echoing in a way. They understand that with such a, I would say, manipulation of this scale, with all the evidence, because usually they will say, well, there's no evidence. Even if the rumors are true or false, fine, let's just go on. But on this occasion, the evidence is hard. Take, for example, I am in the UK. They call and say, oh, congratulations. Because even before this time, Bernard, I have written the UN, I have written the Commonwealth. I've been there, they know me there. Telling them that this is what is going to happen in Cameroon. We equally told them that you are not saying anything. Cameroon is a member of this club. Do not only come to talk, only when things are this bad. Please, say it now so that we can something can be fixed before things go too sour. Because our fear was that the regime may spin this around and even turn it into a coup. So we were telling them that these people are playing a game here that we don't like. So the point I'm making is this: the international community, they by themselves have these facts. Say, for example, they were to congratulate the regime now. I will take this very fact and send it to the Commonwealth office here, and even request to have a conversation so that they will help me to bring the information that we are actually asking the regime to bring, and they're not bringing out. Tchiroma has not only said he won, the empirical facts, the maths is there.
Sure.
I wouldn't be sitting here, talking about him if I didn't see this fact myself. And I wouldn't advise anybody as well to just talk without seeing the facts. So as it stands right now, the international community are very observant. Even before this happened, they know, because we have warned them many times that we are watching you. And we are definitely going to question any of them who says, oh, Biya is a winner. Because that way, I'm sure, because since Biya is not presenting his win at the ballot box, maybe such an international organization or another country would help us present that information so that at least you and I can stay quiet. But they're not presenting it because we know that Mr. Bakary won. So instead, they know also that this is a domestic crisis. It's an internal issue. And they will definitely come in once they realize that the people are standing firm as we are doing right now. There is a chance. The more the people stand up the way we have stood, the international community is absolutely observant of what we're doing. And as you know, when the first peaceful demonstration was called and people got hurt and some killed, the international community came in. The reason why they came in is simply because they know the truth. They know the truth and they are looking for a way to come in and rescue us. They cannot do that if we, the people, are not taking the lead of our problem. As it stands, we have a problem at home. The problem is that our vote, our investment, our future has been manipulated, has been stolen. And if we scream very hard, our neighbors will hear us and come and find out. They will not scream for us. So that is exactly what we should be doing. The international community will not, at this juncture, if it were, it's over how many weeks now? They would have congratulated Mr. Biya a long time ago. If it were a normal situation, or say in a different country, they would have done that. They are not equally coming in to say, this is what it is. We know what it is. We are the ones who face our problem, and that is exactly what we are doing. And that's exactly the reason why I'm telling every listener right now that the international community is not blind. They know what we are going through, and they are ready to help us if we can help ourselves. And for us to help ourselves, these are the stages.
Yeah, outline the stages before I ask what I wanted to ask.
Well, the stages, we started by peaceful demonstration, which took some lives. So this is another one. It's another stage.
All right.
But I asked you, maybe Ben, I asked you to Michael, what could be the fourth one, according to you?
Like I said before, I wouldn't know. I am taking orders.
What do you expect?
Well, I am expecting just anything to protect my vote. Anything.
Michael, you are an analyst and an observer, and you have seen how these things happen in different countries. If you are in support of, you have eloquently defended the position of ghost towns, meaning you have an idea from where the ghost towns are coming and where the ghost towns could be going to and what could be after that. So from your analytic perspective, what could be the fourth phase?
Bernard, I think as it stands right now, I wouldn't know. But I can guarantee you that if that is necessary, it will come up.
But what are you suggesting concretely, Michael? You are not saying that. What are you suggesting concretely?
The situation at hand is so crucial that we don't need to I would say, get ourselves distracted. There's a lot of work to do, and this a lot of work to do is the fact that these ghost towns should be as ghostly. They should be in a way that if somebody peep through the window, they can actually see a ghost in the street. So we should respect. Yes.
Yeah. So talk about the ghost towns. You just said that we need to scream enough for the international community, that is our neighbors, to hear that we are very uncomfortable at home. That is the only time they can come in to help or to assist. How loud could ghost towns be? Are ghost towns not silent instead?
Yes, they are ghost towns. I would say they are physically silent. Okay, but they speak quite loud enough. The international community is watching us. For example, tomorrow, if the ghost town goes on to happen effectively 3 days, you watch the news or listen to the news. The first thing that will be happening will be that the Cameroonians have actually chosen a leader straight away. All right, they would say we have a leader, and that leader is the legitimate winner of the 12th October election. So that is part of the loud speaking or the screaming that we will be passing around, even though in a ghostly way.
Okay, I think we have about like 25 minutes to go. Professeur Lado, on essaye de, je ne sais pas si ce sont des conjectures ou bien si on essaie simplement de se projeter. Pour vous, à partir de demain, imaginons que ces villes mortes fonctionnent, que tout le monde reste à la maison. Pour vous, qu'est-ce qui pourrait se passer? Que pensez-vous que le gouvernement actuel prendra comme position ou bien comme mesure autour de cela? Est-ce qu'il faudra redéfinir des choses? On sait que dans certains pays, lorsqu'il arrive des situations difficiles en période de crise, autour de la crise, on commence à parler des gouvernements d'union nationale, on commence à voir comment est-ce qu'on peut fédérer les partis qui sont en crise, qui sont en conflit. Est-ce qu'on pourrait s'attendre à une telle dynamique au Cameroun? Si oui, comment?
Bon, ben écoutez, je crois que rien n'est à exclure, hein, mais tout va encore une fois dépendre. Et je crois que je l'ai dit, je ne fais pas partie de l'équipe stratégique de Tchiroma, donc je ne sais pas ce qu'ils ont en vue, mais Jeune Afrique, et ça a d'ailleurs été une bombe, Jeune Afrique a fait fuiter l'idée que le régime avait proposé le poste de Premier ministre à Tchiroma, mais que Tchiroma a refusé. Donc, ça veut dire qu'ils essayent, ils sentent que la situation est compliquée.
Voilà la place de Tchiroma. Est-ce que vous l'auriez accepté d'être Premier ministre?
Ils ont toutes les cartes en main et que bon, ils ont même essayé de corrompre, c'est eux qui l'ont dit, bien évidemment, qu'ils ont essayé de corrompre Anissé Kane ou encore Djekam Chameni avant de les arrêter. Il leur aurait proposé, puisque c'est les protagonistes eux-mêmes qui l'ont révélé, et ils ont essayé de les... Parce que, vous voyez, c'est une machine qui a toujours fonctionné avec la corruption. Et ils ont beaucoup d'argent de Camerounais à distribuer aux concurrents. C'est-à-dire que... Et c'est pour cela que la classe politique camerounaise est facilement corruptible, parce que les retournements de veste sont très fréquents. Et parce que quand un politicien fait de la politique pour l'argent, il suffit qu'on vienne lui dire, mais voilà 50 millions. Il n'a jamais vu 50 millions. Donc, il va prendre et dire, bon, de toute façon, je vais gérer ma retraite avec ça, et puis ensuite, le reste, on s'en fout. Donc, pour dire que certainement, et peut-être même en sourdine, parce que la diplomatie est en général est même discrète, c'est-à-dire que il y a certainement des démarches en sourdine pour essayer de voir si on peut mettre de l'eau dans le vin de Tchiroma. Mais le Tchiroma aujourd'hui est dos au mur. Parce qu'il est entre une peuple. En fait, au stade où il est arrivé, c'est ce que je crois, disait Michael à un moment donné, au stade où il est arrivé, même s'il avait l'envie de négocier avec le régime, il sait que le peuple le regarde. Et le peuple attend de lui qu'il mène cette rupture jusqu'au bout. Donc, il n'est plus dans une situation où il peut dire je fais ce que je veux, d'ailleurs je m'en fous, ainsi de suite. Donc, ce que je soupçonne, c'est que si le régime se retrouve vraiment dos au mur, il va essayer de négocier la possibilité d'une transition de 2 ou 3 ans avec Paul Biya comme chef d'État.
Ben, pour aboutir à quoi? Pour aboutir à quoi pour cette transition-là?
Non, mais transition, ça veut dire toutes les réformes qu'on a demandées depuis n'ont pas accepté.
Oui. Ben, vous pensez véritablement que le système en place pourrait plier pour ce type de transition-là?
Pardon?
Est-ce que vous pensez véritablement, en l'état actuel des choses, que c'est un paramètre qu'on pourrait explorer?
Non, parce que comprenez que la politique, c'est un rapport de force. Et tant qu'ils auront le sentiment qu'ils ont la force avec eux, non, ils vont, parce que il faut aussi comprendre, dans le régime Biya, c'est pas je veux dire, il n'y a pas l'unanimité sur comment il faut gérer la crise. Vous avez les extrémistes qui disent, pas question, on va tout faire pour garder le pouvoir et continuer avec nos privilèges. Mais il y en a qui sont un peu plus rationnels et raisonnables, qui disent, cette histoire, on ne sait pas comment ça va se terminer, peut-être qu'il faut dialoguer. Donc, dans le régime même, il n'y a pas unanimité, et donc par conséquent, il y en a qui veulent qu'on ouvre. Et donc, moi, ce que je soupçonne, c'est qu'à un moment donné, s'il y a par exemple des médiateurs qui s'impliquent, ils vont dire, OK, on est prêt à accepter une période de transition, un gouvernement de transition d'union nationale, la révision du code électoral, la révision de la Constitution, tout ça là. Mais le problème, c'est que c'est toujours un piège, parce que ça leur donne ça leur donne du temps, ça leur permet de gagner du temps pour récupérer la situation. Et ce régime, on le sait depuis les années 80-90, ils ont l'art de récupérer les situations dès qu'on est flexible. Et donc, par conséquent, je suis tout à fait d'accord, comme le disait Michael, qu'il faut rester dans une posture de « on a gagné et vous devez dégager » et que on ne le fait pas pour… Si quelqu'un sort, si quelqu'un reste chez lui demain, il ne reste pas chez lui pour Tchiroma. Il reste chez lui pour sa famille, pour l'avenir de ses enfants et pour l'avenir du pays. C'est ça que les gens doivent aujourd'hui comprendre, que ce combat, Tchiroma n'est qu'un instrument. Ce combat, aujourd'hui, ce n'est pas pour un homme politique. C'est pour que le peuple récupère sa souveraineté qui a été confisquée depuis plusieurs décennies. Et donc, par conséquent, tout est possible. Et je crois qu'eux-mêmes doivent être en train de réfléchir, au moins une partie du régime doit être en train de réfléchir sur des portes de sortie sans perdre la face. Mais le problème, c'est qu'en face maintenant, ils ont des gens qui veulent aller jusqu'au bout. Donc, ce ne sera pas facile, aussi simple que ce ne sera pas facile. Et personne ne peut prédire la tournure que vont prendre les événements, mais j'espère simplement que les Camerounais, en majorité, parce que comme disait Michael, ne vous attendez pas à ce que 100% des Camerounais adhèrent à un tel processus. Même si on est 80%, c'est déjà une victoire à adhérer à un tel processus et qu'on soit capable d'inscrire ça dans la durée. Ça va tôt ou tard faire plier la machine. Parce que l'autre variable qu'on ne maîtrise pas, c'est l'armée. Est-ce que l'armée va rester...
I was going to follow up and ask about the army because Tchiroma actually issued a statement where he said the loyalist military took him out to safety and they're protecting him. I did a reflection on that this morning, and it is on my YouTube page. It's how and why the military had to do that. So at this point, are the cracks in the military already very visible for everyone to see that the military is not united in the following the orders of the government that they used to follow in the past?
Well, I don't know if Michael would want to go.
Oh yeah, yes, of course. I think Bernard, there is one thing. In as much as we, the civilians, are yearning for change, the military themselves, in fact, I'm sure some of them even want it more than some other people, right? But unfortunately, because of their professional code of conduct, they have to respect some orders. But when you are dealing with human beings, you also have to understand that there is a certain level of orders that you can give to people and they take to a certain point. There are reasonable military personnel that understand that we are not here to fight against the people who pay us, right? We are the ones who pay these military guys. We even pay the president of the republic, the taxpayers. We all their military equipment are sourced by the money that we pay them. So some of them understand that the moral understanding behind this is that I should not go and be killing my own people. You know, I'm supposed to defend them against an external, I would say, army or intruder or, you know, terrorists and stuff like that. Like what they do in the north. That is what the military should be doing. And the regime, what they have actually been doing is that they use the military for basically every single thing. Like even the police are just there to collect bribes. The military are just used in the, like, let me give you a typical example. In the UK here, my children have never seen a military personnel, right? And there are cases where when you see 2 or 3 of them in the street, you start panicking. You even think, like there was a case where I work that we saw, I think about 3, they call the military cadet, and one elderly patient said, are the Russians here? Because they don't see military people in the streets. Cameroon, as it is no different. We are not supposed to be having, military are supposed to be in the barracks. And immediately there is a distress in the country as a whole. That's when you bring them. You know, when you bring them, and when you bring them out, the people themselves will know that there is danger, not with me, but there is a danger around us. That's why these people are here. So the military of Cameroon, thank you for this question. They should know that they are being paid by the people that are killing them, or that they are killing. If they kill all of them, who's going to pay them? So,
but Michael, are you not thinking that it's just loyalty? So if you are working with someone, can you not just understand why the policemen or the military are acting that way?
You see, the thing is this: when you're working with someone, that someone is not the sovereign people of Cameroon. The sovereign people of Cameroon have the power over anyone. Okay? So even the president himself has no power over the sovereign people. Sovereignty is so important here. The people of Cameroon are the ones who have the power. So if you are working with, for example, you have somebody, an employer, who employs you to be cleaning their house, for example, your loyalty is with them. So your loyalty, the loyalty of the military should be with the people, not an individual, because we pay them. All right? We, the sovereign people of Cameroon, pay them. So any other person who comes in between to be telling them whatever, they have the right. They have absolute right to say, listen, enough is enough. I'm not going to do this. It is not every single thing or command that somebody gives you, you take. There are some commands that you know that this is out of. If, for example, they stand up to tell us that they are defending their code of conduct, which, of course, there's nothing there that tells them that you have to respect me when I say you want to kill someone. You know, it's a bit more like what they're actually doing right now is the same thing that somebody can just go behind and call them to go and kill somebody, and then they would say, yes, I'm going to do that. That is illegal. All right? The president or the command, whoever is giving them command, is doing so illegally, and that person has no right to ask the military to come and kill. There is nobody who has the right to ask the military to do that.
Yeah. Let me follow up with further. What do you make of the fact that the Ministry of Defense has not issued a statement saying no part of the military is working with Tchiroma. Is that a tacit agreement that Tchiroma's statement is founded?
Well, just to build on what Michael was saying, you see, there are some indicators that they are not in control of everything. You will see that in some barracks, they voted against Biya in Cameroon, which means that discontent is somewhere in there. It's just that they can't express it because of their status. But even in the barracks, there is some form of discontent. Now, the only thing I can say is they're actually playing with fire. Especially the military, they are playing with fire. Why am I saying this? Because the military is already overstretched. You know, with the war in the Nozo, and you know that they have been discontent about how it is handled financially. That those who are actually enriching themselves on the war in the Nozo are the officers. And that's one of the reasons why they don't care whether the struggle goes on. So the military, of course, is already overstressed by the Nozo front, but also by Boko Haram in the north. And what they are doing now, because again, in the last 2 or 3 days, they are reliable. I mean, from reliable sources, it is clear that they are hunting the leaders of Tchiroma's party, even members of the family of Tchiroma, taking them to Yaoundé, from the north to Yaoundé. And again, these are the same mistakes they made with the Anglophone crisis. What they are doing is that when the people are fed up, they will begin to go after them. When I say after them, I mean the authorities. And we could be, because of that, opening a new front in the north. And the risky dimension of the front in the north is that Boko Haram is not very far. And they could exploit that crack in the system to make the bigger north unruly. I mean, insecure. I mean, and this is a huge area. And I'm not sure that we have the numbers in the military to control that area. So that's why I'm saying
don't you think they'll be counting on Chad to come support, because Chad has already congratulated Biya?
Yeah, but Chad has its own problem. I was in Chad I live and work in Chad for 6 years. So I know Chad very well. They're sitting on the time. The former prime minister was like the main opposition figure, is sitting in prison. This guy you call, David's son. His father was even less than a tyrant. I mean, he can't support Cameroon. He can't even support his own country. So, of course, he's a warmonger because he's a general, because he was a general before, or he's a general. And the only thing he relies on is force. So Chad cannot help us. And again, we are playing with fire. But the problem is that when people are blinded by the thirst for power, they don't see beyond their nose. And they will get us into trouble, as they did in the nose, by not listening to the people, by not listening. They don't want to listen. So again, let's hope that somebody will kind of breathe some sense into their minds and bring them back to reason.
All right.
And make the right decisions before it is too late.
All right. Thank you so much, Father. We are rounding up now, and I'll be asking you all to give your last words. But before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching us on the road to A2D. Whatever platform you are watching from, please kindly like, subscribe, comment, and share. Please do this because that is the best way you're helping us. As from tomorrow, we'll definitely be having live coverage from all the cities in Cameroon, and we'll have correspondents who will be giving us live updates on how the ghost towns are going throughout the territory. So they would need your support. So kindly like, subscribe, and if you have any financial support, you can give it. We are broadcasting live on Mimi Mefo Info on Facebook, Beyond Africa Podcast on Facebook, Talk with Mimi Mefo on YouTube, Analyse avec Sandrine on YouTube, Beyond Africa Podcast on YouTube, and Cameroon News Agency on YouTube. Kindly like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment as we are asking you all to do.
Absolument.
Do you want to take the last words with our
Ok,
guests?
absolument. Alors, merci Bernard. Juste pour le redire en français à ceux qui nous écoutent à l'instant et ceux qui nous regardent, qu'importe le canal par lequel vous nous regardez en ce moment, juste une petite action, allez juste liker, allez juste vous abonner. C'est simple, ça ne prend pas beaucoup de temps. Qu'importe le canal par lequel vous êtes en train de nous suivre en ce moment-ci, que ce soit sur Mimi Mefo Info, sur Facebook, sur Talk with Mimi Mefo on YouTube, Analyse avec Sandrine Yamga, African Postcards de Bernard ou encore Cameroon News Agency. Merci à vous infiniment de votre support et c'est simplement ce que nous vous demandons afin de continuer à vous produire du contenu. À signaler également que demain, il y aura non seulement un live, mais aussi des reportages sur le terrain pour rendre compte de l'effectivité ou pas de ces villes mortes qui ont été annoncées au préalable et puis surtout appelées par Issa Tchiroma Bakary, lorsqu'on sait aussi que les autorités administratives appellent plutôt les commerçants et toutes les populations à vaquer à leurs occupations. Qui va être écouté demain? Ça va être la grande réponse du jour. Et on va terminer dans un instant avec nos invités. Nous sommes pratiquement dans la dernière ligne droite, les dernières minutes de cet échange et nous allons prendre quelques dernières réactions. D'abord, avec le Père Lado, je vais poser la dernière question. Alors, Père Ludovic Lado, et demain? C'est la seule question que j'ai envie de vous poser. Et demain? Si, avec réponse positive, j'allais dire affirmative ou pas, des citoyens à observer ces villes mortes et pour vous, l'après, qu'est-ce que cela serait? Vous avez dit tout à l'heure, c'est vrai, que vous espérez que M. Tchiroma Bakary va procéder à une prestation de serment. Pour vous, est-ce que cela suffira?
Non, et encore une fois, comme on l'a dit tout au long de cet échange, il n'est pas question ici de Tchiroma, il est question de la libération d'un peuple. Et si que les Camerounais choisissent de participer ou de ne pas participer, ils auront déterminé leur avenir. Et ils n'auront qu'à récolter ce qu'ils auront semé. Mais il me semble là que c'est une opportunité à ne pas rater. Et c'est pour cela que j'encourage la plupart des Camerounais qui adhèrent à cette résistance à rester chez eux. Bien sûr, les plus pauvres vont un peu souffrir parce que ceux qui se débrouillent au jour le jour pour vivre, ça ne va pas être facile, mais on ne peut pas faire des omelettes sans casser les œufs. Il faut quelques sacrifices pour pouvoir récolter des résultats pour l'avenir. Donc, encore une fois, je soutiens ces villes mortes et j'encourage les Camerounais à y adhérer. La suite, on verra. Encore une fois, c'est Tchiroma et son équipe stratégique qui vont déterminer l'avenir. Mais encore une fois, j'espère que cette résistance ne va pas s'achever avec les villes mortes et que les villes mortes ne sont qu'une étape sur une longue. Ça peut durer. Ça,
un tremplin, vous voulez, un tremplin vers autre chose, vous voulez dire?
Voilà, vers d'autres actions qui vont faire plier ce régime qui a pris en otage l'avenir de la jeunesse camerounaise. Donc voilà, j'en profite bien sûr pour vous remercier de m'avoir accueilli sur votre plateforme, pour
Merci.
remercier aussi Michael pour le partage. Et nous continuons à prier pour que le bon Dieu soutienne ces enfants qui crient et espèrent, n'est-ce pas, goûter à la liberté et à la justice très bientôt.
Merci. Bernard, maybe the last question to Michael.
Yeah, my last question to Michael is just give us your last word. What do you expect of Cameroonians and what do you see as the next steps?
Thank you again, Bernard and Sandrine, and of course, Reverend. What I can tell Cameroonians right now is that tomorrow should be highly, highly ghosted. 3 days. We should respect the ghost town for these 3 days. It is not going to be easy, and nobody thinks or ever thought it would be easy. But this is the safest way for us not to have any encounter with any security official, be the military or the police or the gendarmerie. And again, we have lived tougher times for 43 years. This is something that you should take it as a personal responsibility to save yourself. That's what we are trying to do right now. This is the moment where you have a reason to save yourself. And the reason is just the fact that you made a choice and the choice got stolen in a broad daylight. You are not asking for more. You're not asking for too much. You just want somebody to respect your vote as a Cameroonian. You may be having difficulty, for example, how you're going to cope with these 3 days. And of course, the reason is because most Cameroonians are buy and sellers, or they live, hand to mouth, day to day. But let me tell you one thing. The regime made it to be like this so that you would end up your life this way.
Mhm.
This regime has been there since 1982, when I was a little boy. I'm gray now. You can see that the only life we ever knew is a life that has been made horrible, a life that has been deliberately, systematically crafted to put us in a very desperate position. And today we are saying enough is enough. Let's not accept this. Let's follow the steps, or let's follow the instructions from the president-elect, Mr. Issa Tchiroma Bakary. They will lead us somewhere. We are going to make progress. And to the regime, we are coming. We want Biya to leave. Biya has been there for 43 years. There is nothing extra that he can do for these 7 years. It's not possible that he couldn't have done for 43 years. And for Mr. Biya, if at all you have the chance to even listen, because I'm sure you are sleeping or you are resting, please, Etudi needs to be vacated in peace. You need to leave a legacy that Cameroonians can even say, oh, you know what? This guy handed over power. Do not make it in such a way that when you leave, people will not want to hear about you anymore. Give us this very last chance, the right to govern ourselves, the right for change to happen. That is just what we're asking you, nothing else. You've done your best for our country for 43 years. We respected you and we keep respecting you right up to this moment. And respect us too. Respect our own view. Respect our voice. So thank you very much. Let there be ghost town from tomorrow.
Très bien. Alors, merci à vous, Michael Take, pour ce brillant moment d'échange avec vous. J'allais dire aussi assez persuasif. Merci également au Père Ludovic Lado de nous avoir rejoints ce dimanche. C'était un gentil dimanche de prière, et on vous a entendu dès le départ dire ma prière, c'est qu'il y ait la manifestation de la vérité. Merci à vous pour cet échange. Thank you to you, Bernard. It was a pleasure for us to be here today, this Sunday, and then I'm sure that you are coming back tomorrow for more time here and then more insight about what is happening in Cameroon. So à tous ceux qui nous regardent, for all of you, all the viewers, we are saying thank you to being in this conversation, to taking part on this conversation. Merci à tout le monde et à très bientôt. Au revoir.
Merci. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Au revoir. See you next time.